Basically, a CPA or an accountant, bookkeeper, for the most part, they focus on past transactions to accurately record history, if you will. And those financials are used for, the accountant, the tax filer to file taxes, that thing and that sort of thing. And yes, accurate accounting is very important. Tax filing is very important. All of those you should have, somebody handling that in your company.
Welcome to Biz Help for You, the show that saves you the expensive learning curve by providing advice from industry experts in every facet of the entrepreneurial journey. Too many small businesses collapse. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, 20% fail within their first year, and less than 35% make it to their 10th anniversary. The goal of this podcast is to change that statistic. So if you're interested in learning more to be a successful entrepreneur, tune in today.
Let me tell you a little bit about my guest today. Teresa Wagonseller is the founder of Higher Up CFO Services, a company dedicated to helping small business owners simplify financial complexities and maximize their profits, cash flow, and freedom. With over 30 years of experience as a CPA and CFO for multi-million and billion-dollar companies, Teresa has developed an affordable system designed specifically for small businesses. Her mission is to transform overwhelmed entrepreneurs into confident, numbers-driven CEOs. Today, Teresa will share valuable insights on how to view your business as a data-driven enterprise, leveraging financial strategies to increase profits, improve cash flow, and create sustainable growth. So Teresa, welcome to the show.
Hi, Candy. I'm thrilled to be here.
I'm excited to have you here too. Of course, numbers is a passion of mine, being a bookkeeper, right? Working with CPAs and stuff too. And I understand a lot of the figures, but a lot of times business owners don't. So I think this will be helpful for them to really understand CPA things and CFO things and, how you can help businesses and what you're going to teach them about their numbers and understanding it. But before I get into questions that I have for you, I would love for you just to share your journey and what led you to create your CFO services business.
Sure, of course. Be happy to. Well, like most people who get an accounting degree, I took off into public accounting, started there, got my CPA license, worked in tax, managed over 300 tax clients at one point, my own practice, and specialized in corporate and partnership taxation. And I did that for about 10 years. And then one day I decided I just couldn't see myself doing tax work the rest of my life. So I sold my practice and went off into the corporate world, climbed the corporate ladder like many of us do, and worked for a number of various type companies and different industries. Greatly enjoyed it. Greatly enjoyed working mostly with the small business owner in helping them grow and achieve their goals, and business success. The journey is what I enjoyed the most. I worked in roles as corporate controller and chief financial officer, CFO for, quite a few different companies, and especially they got bigger and bigger, and done everything from auditing, taking a company public to, you name it. I mean, I've pretty much done it all. I've got a lot of good background, which is very helpful in what I'm doing now. So there again, after about 25 years of that, 10, 20 years of that, I decided, I think I kind of ran out of passion and fulfillment. And when I reflected or looked back, I thought, what I enjoyed the most was working with the small business companies and helping them. And so I want to go back to that. So I decided a little over a year or two ago, to start my own practice. And basically, I've taken my last 25 years of experience and condensed it, if you will, into a system that makes it affordable and accessible to small business owners, because, small business owners, for the most part, can't afford to hire a full-time chief financial officer. So that's how I got to where I am today.
Well, and some people may not understand the difference between, a CPA, a bookkeeper, a CFO, so do you want to maybe talk about like who you should be using in your business and for what types of things so that they'll understand a little bit more about kind of all of those different tasks?
Yes, of course. So initially, people find out I'm a CPA and they automatically think tax work. I do tax
Right.
work, which while I've done tax work, I don't do tax work right now. And there is a difference. And I'm glad you asked. Basically, a CPA or an accountant, bookkeeper, for the most part, they focus on past transactions to accurately record history, if you will. And those financials are used for, the accountant, the tax filer to file taxes, that thing and that sort of thing. And yes, accurate accounting is very important. Tax filing is very important. All of those you should have, somebody handling that in your company. The difference in what a CFO or a chief financial officer will do is focuses more on the future of the company or the growth of the company. In other words, taking the company from point A to point B, whatever their goals are, whatever they're trying to accomplish. And they're the strategic financial leader, if you will, of the company. So they manage the company's finances through strategic planning, forecasting, tracking profits, cash flow. Basically, their main job is to ensure the company's financially healthy so they can reach the company's goals.
Right. So I'd love for you, from your experience, talk about some of the common financial pitfalls that you have seen small business face and how can they avoid them?
Sure. I think probably there's a few things. So there's quite a few challenges, I guess, if you will, for small businesses. And, mainly the biggest one is they small business owners struggle, to manage their finances while they're trying to grow their business. And, rightfully so, because they're wearing all the hats in the business. We always hear about that. And typically most small business owners aren't the financial expert or guru, if you will. And so they definitely struggle, trying to grow their business. Like, I guess one of the biggest things I see is what I call is a catch-22. A lot of small business owners think, well, I need money to grow my business, but I need to grow my business to get money. So they want to grow, they don't necessarily know how to grow. And so that's a huge struggle. I think a lot of business owners confuse profits, with cash flow. And they're not the same thing. And I think that, gets business owners in trouble. Well, for example, let's just say, a typical business owner might say, I bid a job at $5,000 and it's going to cost me $3,000 to do the job in materials and labor. So I'm going to profit $2,000. And they expect that to be the cash that they see, in their bank account. And that doesn't necessarily happen that way because of, there's cash flow issues, if you will, like the money flow of in and out of money in your business, the flow of money in and out of your business. So the timing affects the cash that you see in your account versus, the profits you receive. And if you're a company that has receivables and payables, there's timing differences there, right? So you generate what's, called a positive or negative cash flow. And so that's one reason why the profits don't match, what the cash that you think it should be. A lot of business owners are like, well, I made money on that, but I look in the bank account and it's not there. Why is it not there?
Yeah, I've
So
had
I
a
think
lot of
that's
people
confusing.
question that too. Right. So I get it.
That's confusing. Yes. And then a lot of business owners, they don't always know what's working and what's not working in their business because typically they can't read financial statements. And I mean, let's face it, financial statements aren't designed. They're not manager reports. They're not designed for the owners of the business, right? To help them manage their company. They're designed for, the accountants or the tax filers to use that information, right? So I think that's another struggle, for the business owners, just trying to understand by looking at the financials, what's working in their business and what's not.
hmm And I think too, from my perspective, having worked with clients in this industry too, that sometimes they're afraid to admit that they don't understand the numbers either. And I've told people before too, like I'm not good at everything either, right? Like I don't necessarily know how to build a website and code things or whatever too. And so you may not understand all the things that make up these numbers. And we're happy to explain it and give you that background and the understanding so you know what these numbers mean and you can implement any changes, that you might want to implement through understanding the figures. But I think people are sometimes embarrassed because when it comes to money, they don't want to be seen as, not educated or something like that too. So do you want to maybe even touch on that, like from your experience, and how you've helped people understand, like it's okay to ask questions about it and actually
Yes.
understand what they mean?
I do. I would love to speak to that. I do see clients a lot that, they don't want to admit that they don't understand the financials, or know what to do. They don't know what to do in their business, and they also like some clients are like, I don't know why or where this comes from, but are afraid to turn over their financial information or for somebody else to look at it. Like there's not anything in there that's confidential or anything that I haven't seen before. It's kind of like going to the doctor, right? You allow the doctor, because he's professional, to look at whatever it is on your body that you need help with. Your financials are the same way. You find a trusted, financial advisor, and that's what they do for a living, and yes,
Right.
they're going to, respect the confidentiality, about anything that's a financial matter. So I see that as well. I think I wish my favorite clients are the ones that come to me and admit right off the bat, I don't look at my financials. I don't understand them. I don't want to understand them, so I understand that's what you do. I'm glad you like to do that. So I want you to help me with that. Those are my favorite type of clients. And what I've learned to do in my practice is make it simple to understand for the business owner. So if I have clients that come to me with that type of, mindset, that's perfectly fine. That's what I'm here for. I'm the expert in this area, just like you're an expert in what it is that you do in your business. Right. And so I don't put financial statements in front of them. When we have our monthly meetings, I have what's called a simple scoreboard, that basically shows them at a glance, very simply, what's working in their business and what's not. And I focus on profits, increasing profits and cash flow. So there's 16 parts of that, in every business. I have a system that manages those, and I have a scoreboard that easily shows the owner, look, of these 16 parts, here's the ones that are working, here's the ones that are not. And I have an action plan to help us with these that are not working, to improve them, thereby improving, their profits and cash flow and helping them to grow their business.
So can you talk about, the steps that entrepreneurs can take to shift their mindset from, where they are to thinking bigger about their business so they can expand it and be more successful?
Yes. So, I think I've owned 2 businesses now. And, I think we all start off a business as a DIY, do it yourself, or DIY. Maybe I said that backwards, but do it yourself, right? So we all go into business thinking we're going to do it all ourselves. I can learn it. I can learn how to do my website. I can learn how to do my bookkeeping. I can learn how to do anything in my business that needs to be done. And then what usually happens is we find out, a few years down the road that I'm not good at this. I don't like doing this. And it's taken me away from what I went into business to do. Right.
Right.
And that's what happens with most, small business owners. And so what I think the mindset is, what I like to say is, try to think about your business like the large corporations. How do they run their business? Right? They don't have one person. The CEO is not doing all of the jobs, running all of the areas of the business, managing, all their, no, they have what's called chief financial officers, a C-suite, if you will, like chief financial officer handles the financials of the company or finances of the company. They have like maybe a chief marketing officer. They might have a chief revenue officer. And these people are the strategic leaders in those areas of the company. They're the expertise, if you will, in these other areas of the company. And so I like to challenge new business owners, small business owners, try to think like the big guys. Find out what you're good at in your business and lean on that, and outsource the other areas to experts. And you will grow faster, be more successful if you can learn how to utilize resources and surround yourself with the experts.
And I know when people are starting businesses, it's hard because you do have to wear all the hats, and you may not have a lot of cash available to outsource to someone else. But as you're saying, there are things that if you're doing it, it's probably taking you a lot longer to do it because it's not a passion of yours, or you're not very good at it. And so if you actually look at what you're losing by trying to do that, right? Instead of, oh, well, it's going to cost me this much and I could do it myself, but maybe you could be doing something else to grow your business and then pay someone to do this other task, and you'd be positive, right? But they don't always look at it that way.
That's exactly right. And especially that's one reason I'm doing what I'm doing, because it's a fractional, which means part-time, but it's also a fraction of the cost, so if you're a small business owner, you're thinking, well, this all sounds great, but I can't afford to hire all these people. Well, yes, you can. And the first step is you get a CFO that can put together a plan for you on how you can afford these other people, or, other, whatever it is you want to do in your business. You have a plan. It's a strategic financial plan. And these other people, that are the other officers that come in, or expertise, if you will, whatever you want to call them, that help you run your business. Yes, to your point, there's a trade-off that will free up that business owner to do what they're good at and to grow their business the way they know how. They're the ones who know their business. They know what they're good at. They're the most efficient at that. And that allows them room, capacity, if you will, to focus on that.
So then how does understanding financial metrics help the entrepreneurs achieve more freedom and profitability?
Sure. So my system, I like to say, is own a machine, not a job. And it's a money-making machine. So everybody goes into business, right, initially to make money. And hopefully you go into business because you enjoy what you're doing. You're good at something, right? You need a marketable product or service, and you need cash. Those are the two things you need to run a business. And I think you and I both know that like 50% of most businesses fail by year 5, and 80% of those are because they run out of cash. Right. So that's the main reason I like to focus on cash flow. And in focusing on cash flow, you're also focusing on profits and revenue, because they all go together, right? We know that. So I have a system that's like 16, like I said, 16 parts. These are the drivers, if you will, what drives your revenue, what drives your profits, what drives your cash flow. And cash flow is most important. You can have losses in your business, but as long as you have cash, you can stay in business. But you can't have profits and have no cash. You'll go out of business if you run out of cash. Is the bloodline of every business. So the metrics, that I use are the 16 drivers. That's the system I've created to manage that cash flow, so that we can increase profits and increase cash flow and not run out of money. And then, of course, cash, it's usually the answer to any problem in any business, right? Whatever the problem is, if you have more cash, you can usually resolve that problem. So it's the answer to every, problem or issue, or, growth, whatever it is, whatever the plans are for the company. It's usually cash will be the answer.
Right. I had a guest on my podcast at one point who was talking about this too. And he said, it's more important to have the cash flow than the profit. So if you have a bunch of inventory sitting on the shelf, discount it. Right. And you might be like, well, I'm selling it for less I bought it for. Well, you might
Mhm.
be, but you're getting the cash in your pocket now and you're getting rid of that inventory. And I think sometimes people have a hard time with that because they're like, well, I'm supposed to be profitable, right? You know.
Yes, holding on to your cash, or I also I have a blog on my website that says it's not so much what you make, it's what you keep that matters.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't understand that. So it is more than just profits. It's
Mm-hmm.
how much does it cost? For every dollar of revenue that comes into your business, how much are you spending? What's the cost per dollar, a product or service that's going in to generate that dollar of revenue? And then
Mm-hmm.
once you get the profits off of that, what are you doing with those profits? How are you
Mm-hmm.
managing the overhead and the other expenses of your company, so that you have something left over at the end of the day? And can we
Mm-hmm.
maximize or optimize that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and I've
So,
had people question too. They're like, well, this doesn't make sense. My profit and loss says I have profit, but there's no money left
mhm,
in the bank, right?
right. Yep.
So do you want to touch on that? Because you have hinted, there's a difference between cash
Yeah.
flow and profit, but do you want to touch on how that's possible?
There is. So I'm going to go back to, say, a contractor, bids a job and it's $5,000. And like I said before, the materials and labor on the job's $3,000. So immediately you think, great, I've got a $2,000 profit, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about the timing of those dollars. So first of all, if you're I'm just making this up, but the $5,000 that you quoted on that job, if they pay that when you complete the job, and let's say it's a 3-month job, and
Mm-hmm.
then you go out and spend $3,000 immediately on product, and you have to pay for your labor during that time, so you're out
Mm-hmm.
$300, $3,000 just went out the door, right? But you haven't received your 5,000 yet. So you now
Mm-hmm.
have a negative cash flow of $3,000. That's why
Mm-hmm.
you don't see it in your bank. You won't see it in your bank until you collect the $5,000 3 months later. And
Mm-hmm.
what if you never collect that $5,000 or all of it? Do you really get
Mm-hmm.
the full profits? That's always a question. But take that one job scenario and multiply it times 40 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
You have a huge negative cash flow issue.
Right.
That's why you're not seeing that money in the bank that aligns with the profits.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of the difference between the two,
Mm-hmm.
between
Well, I've
profits
even
and cash
had
flow.
Well, and even someone, let's say they actually did collect it, right? I billed the customer 5,000. I paid
Hmm.
my 3,000, so I had the 2,000, but then I paid myself, right? And they're not on
Right?
payroll. They're a sole proprietor or something, right? So
Yeah.
they live off the profit, but it still
Hmm.
shows basically on the P&L, right? So that's a lot of times they're confused, but the IRS sees that as profit and it's taxable, even if you lived off it,
Hmm.
So I think
You're
that's where a lot
exactly
of the
right.
confusion comes.
There's other drivers. I call them drivers, cash flow drivers that are not seen
Mm-hmm.
on your P&L, and those would be things like debt service. When you make
Mm-hmm.
loans to your financial institution to pay your loans, when you pay taxes out.
Mm-hmm.
Also owner draws, like you just mentioned. Or when you purchase equipment,
Mm-hmm.
fixed assets for your business, those items are not seen in your profit and loss statement. So that's additional
Mm-hmm.
cash that's going out that's not seen on the income statement.
Mm-hmm. Right. So when you're working with someone as a fractional CFO, can you just explain like how that process works? Do you have like a weekly meeting with them? What is your system working with them look like?
I do. I try to keep it simple. I have it's basically a 4-step process that I do with every client every month to help make sure they stay on track. So I start off the process with a kickoff meeting, if you will, and we set targets for some
Mm-hmm.
key indicators or key drivers of profits and cash flow, say for the year. And then on a monthly basis, I create a forecast, or compare forecast to actuals, if you will, every on a month of it, and track profits and cash flow. And I meet with the client every month And I identify maybe like the top 3 drivers that need the most work and have the most impact. If we correct them, that are the most impactful on their profits and cash flow. And I put together a small work with the client to do a quick, action plan, if you will, of the next 30 days. Here's what we need to focus on the next 30 days to improve these 3 drivers right here. And then we get to the next month and we reevaluate again, go through the process again. And I do that mainly to keep them on track, with our initial plan of the targets that we're trying to reach, by the end of the year. And it's very simple. It's easy to follow. It's, easy to see. Like I said, I present a scoreboard, so it's easy for them to see. And they also see where they're making progress, which to me, that's the fun part, to be able to influence them, and they carry out or execute, if you will, and then they see the results the next month. It starts to get exciting, so, and they get motivated, and that's the fulfillment and thrilling part of what I do for me.
So I do know we are coming close to the end of the time that we have together. So I wanted to ask, if you have an offer that you would like to extend to our listeners, and also if they want to touch base with you to get more information, how can they contact you?
I do. And thanks for asking. I have a website, higherupcfoservices.com, and that's higher as in higher profits and higher cash flow. I do a free financial assessment on any business. So any owner that wants to book a call with me, I do a free financial assessment on your business. And I'll tell you what's working, what's not, what I see, any red flags, opportunities. Happy to do that. I also have a Learning Center page that there's a list there of the 16 drivers that manage your cash flow or drive your cash flow if you want to see them. I also have a cash flow drivers worksheet that, if you want to manage and drive the cash flow of your own business, I'm happy to share this worksheet with you. And if you want to book a call, I'll be happy to go over it with you and show you how to use it so you can manage your own cash flow.
So do they book that call through your website, or is there a different way to reach out to you?
Yes, there's a book a call, a call to action all over the website.
Okay.
I don't do the marketing in my business. Actually, my daughter does, and she's great at it. And she's got all that set up. Marketing's not one of my fortes. So I have that outsourced.
Which is a perfect example of why you outsource it, right?
That's exactly right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Teresa, for being a guest on my show and sharing your expertise in this area and really helping the entrepreneur start to understand a little bit more about what is a fractional CFO and what is the information that they can get from working with someone. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much, Candy. I enjoyed visiting with you.
And to the listener, if you enjoyed today's topic and you want to hear additional information, you can find access to exclusive content in the show notes. Thank you for tuning in today. Would you please share this episode with those you know and leave a review on your favorite platform? And if you find our show informative, would you consider being a financial sponsor to help me continue my mission to educate business owners? A link is located in the episode description, and no amount is too small. I'd really appreciate your support. If you are interested in connecting with our guest and receiving the offer they had to share, a link to our resource page is in the show notes. Finally, if you have any bookkeeping or payroll needs, reach out to us at 310-534-5577 or contact@abandp.com. My team and I are eager to assist you. Until next time, have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Biz Help for You. Please join your host, Candy Messer, again next time. Have a terrific day.